How's practice been these last couple days?
It's been good. Probably we doubled down on just the investment in general. The first meeting we had coming off of the last game, we talked about, Tuesday, Wednesday practice, focusing on that 200 level stuff, the basics. That's what we call the basics. So just locking down on that stuff. And from the leadership standpoint, if any of that is lacking, making sure that we're holding each other accountable. And then, moving into Thursday, Friday, making sure the 300, 400 level stuff is focused in. And so, at the end of the day, like, there's nothing else to do besides just show up to work and put more in, invest more into the process. So
you had a long layoff between games over those last 2 seasons. How does it feel to be back?
Yeah, it feels great. I feel amazing. Like I feel better now than I felt before my injury. So I couldn't be more excited to be back, just to be playing again. Man, I love playing in there on Saturday. So couldn't be more thankful. I feel great, ready to go. Like physically, mentally, spiritually. Like I'm happy to be here, happy to be playing football, and couldn't feel better in my body.
We were talking to Fontel a couple weeks ago. I think he said it took the spring to get your confidence back. Maybe you were a little timid out there initially. Yeah. Did you feel like that?
Yeah, no, for sure. I definitely felt like that. In the spring, I was still in a blue jersey, which is, non-contact, just trying to figure out really everything again. When you have an injury like that, you're really building from the ground back, so the ground up. And so, learning how to cut off of that leg, learning how to run full speed and just, break it down and run the other way. That's not something that you just learn how to do overnight after having an injury like that. It takes, understanding your body and the process to get back. So, yeah, the spring was really good for me. And then the summer, now the NCAA allows you to do so much more in the summer as far as, running routes and doing stuff like with the quarterbacks and 7-on-7. So both the spring and the summer helped me, going into camp, I felt better than I've ever felt in my life. So, I'm very confident now.
Do you remember how the injury happened? It was in the spring a couple years ago.
It was in the spring, 2 springs ago. It was actually a non-contact injury. It was just an RVA, and I just cut, and just a weird movement, I guess, and my body was, I guess, already sore and just struggling a little bit from spring ball, and that's how it happened.
That was an ACL?
Yes, sir.
What is that like, having to sit and watch? I mean, your first year here, you very much were like, I want to play.
Yeah.
I don't want to redshirt this
yes,
year.
Sir.
What was it like to have to sit out here and then watch?
Yeah, most definitely. I think, you learn a lot. You learn a lot from the perspective of the game being played. I got to watch some great receivers. That's for sure. We understand. I got some dudes that are in the league that are doing a really good job, and I got to learn from them from the game aspect, and then also from a leadership aspect and off the field. I got to learn kind of like what I wanted to be and how I wanted to lead stepping into a leadership role this year. With all those guys leaving, and so. It took a lot of patience and a lot of just being able to be at peace with where I was and take my time, building my body back, but also building the type of man that I wanted to be, the type of leader I wanted to be on the team coming back, this year.
You didn't really get an off day last week because you go from prepping for South Carolina, fly back, and then it's go right into prep for Vandy. How much did Monday's off day help?
A lot. We talked about that, as soon as the game was over. Me and my roommate were talking about what it'd be like having a Monday, kind of a reset day. Sundays are film and get the film watched and move on to the next game. But, man, Monday, it's tough. When you have a short week like that, it is really tough. It's not easy to turn around and play another game in just a few days after already being a little bit beat up from the last game. So, just being able to take care of our bodies, but also the mental side of it, getting ahead film-wise. Monday is a big film day for us, even though we're not doing anything physically. We get in here and have player-led meetings where we're just watching film, and so it was a good opportunity for us to kind of not only physically but mentally reset and get ready to go into a good week of practice and preparation for the next game.
How eager are you to get a punt return opportunity where you have a little bit of space?
Yeah.
It seems like it's been few and far between this year.
Man, very eager. I in the first game, didn't really get an opportunity with any space. And then the last game, I don't know that I've ever seen a game where there's 0 punts in a game. And so I was so excited. Every third down, I grabbed my helmet. I'm ready to go. Like, I'm waiting to get on the field. And I had already told myself, I knew that I was going to have an opportunity with that punter. And so I'd already told myself, first opportunity I'm I'm returning it, like, no matter what, unless it's just a shank. And so that's, my mindset still kind of going into this week is like, I get an opportunity, like, it's my time to go be dangerous and make a play and, have a spark for the team. And so, man, I'm eager for sure. I'm excited. That's what I do. That's what I love to do. And so, hopefully that opportunity will come this week.
How much does the wide receiving core, knowing what the offensive line is dealing with injuries, how much do you guys think about what you guys need to do to help out with that?
Yeah, I think week to week we talk about, and Coach Mines talks to us about, like, winning games. A lot of that comes down to us, to our room, the receiver room. Whether we're making plays, we're not making plays, like, that's how our offense goes. And I think you see that in the game in the past 2 games. That's usually how it's going, even though we've run the ball pretty well. And so, for us, at the end of the day, it comes down to we need to control what we can control, and that's when the ball gets thrown to us, we go make the play. Like, that's what we do. We go make plays, and so we take pride in when the ball's in there, it's ours. Everyone in that room, everyone that touches the field. And so, that's kind of our mindset is we're going to control what we control, and that's that when the ball gets thrown to us, we go make the play. And so we're excited to do that whenever the ball comes our way.
Blocking as well, I assume, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah, no, most definitely. Coach Monty's offense, it's a little bit different. We have a lot of RPOs, and so it's a little bit less blocking than, some offenses, because we always have, like, a lot of times we have a pass option, even if it's a run play, which, I think everyone knows that's kind of the offense that he runs. But, yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, we also, every game, every practice, we talk about going into the game, setting the tone on the perimeter, blocking wise, that sets the tone for the rest of the game. And so we know that at the end of the day, we're going to have to block on the perimeter for us to be great. And so that's something we take pride in. We practice. We talk about the mentality of that going into the game. Usually you see that early in the game, getting something out to the perimeter for us to block and just set that tone from a receiver to DB standpoint. So
You mentioned how impactful those veterans were last year. Are there things you find yourself doing now that guys like Jalen Lane, that group did last year, that you find yourself doing now and preaching to the younger guys?
Yeah, no, most definitely. I think, again, there's kind of the two sides to it, where you have the on the field stuff and then off the field. On the field, man, I've taken so many things that I learned from those guys and applied it to my game. Steve was one of my best friends. A lot of the ways that he runs routes, I try to kind of mimic, and the same thing with Jay Lane, just an overall playmaker. And then Jay Lane, especially when it comes to punt return, knowing that I returned before him, but then he got to return all last year, which was awesome for me to watch and just see the way that he took chances and was, kind of had that dangerous mindset being back there. But yeah, and then there's the other side of it where, like, off the field, leadership standpoint, those dudes were some good leaders, as far as you had verbal leaders, you had dudes who were just more kind of just like quiet, like Steve, that just came up and showed up to work every day. That's kind of been my mindset is, when it's my time to lead verbally, like, I'm more than ready to do that. But at the same time, like, my mindset is I show up to work every day, no matter what the circumstance is, no matter what. And I come ready to practice, ready to work, do whatever is asked of me, on the field, off the field from the coaches, so that we can ultimately win.